السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. يسرني بداية أن أنتهز هذه الفرصة لأرفع أسمى آيات الشكر والتقدير لمقام خادم الحرمين الشريفين وسمو ولي عهده الأمين حفظه الله على ما يقدمان من دعم متواصل
യൂട്യൂബ് കട്ടായി വീണ്ടും കൊടുത്തു.
ലിങ്ക്ഡിനും ടിക്ടോക്കും പോകുന്നുണ്ട്. ഇത് നടക്കുള്ളൂ. യൂട്യൂബിൽ
ലിങ്ക്ഡിൻ പോയി. ലിങ്ക്ഡിൻ പോകുന്നുണ്ട്. ലിങ്ക്ഡിൻ ചെക്ക് ചെയ്തോ.
كما أود أن أرحب بكم جميعا حضورا ومتحدثين مشاركين وخبراء بارزين حيث نلتقي بكم اليوم للعام الثالث على التوالي على أرض المملكة لكي نحتفل معا بإطلاق أعمال معرض ومؤتمر سيملس المملكة 2024 والذي يعد منصة عالمية وعلمية تهدف إلى تبادل الخبرات وعرض التجارب والأفكار في التقنيات الخاصة بالمدفوعات الرقمية والتقنية المالية.
Yes, right now it's after some time if the internet is low, because I started second.
No, because your speed before it's 50. Now I make you 100.
You can do this before. We were struggling.
You order 50 now. Now I give you 100, 150. But don't do speed test. Just close it. Because if you do it, just make it.
Okay, ലിങ്ക്ഡിൻ പോകുന്നുണ്ടോ? ചെക്ക് ചെയ്യാൻ പറ.
والعالم على تطوير أنظمة المدفوعات الوطنية وتوفير بنية تحتية قادرة على دفع وخلق
Don't use that one.
Converter.
This one it makes issue. Don't use it. If you can, without, it's clear. I know about the map.
على الابتكار وتقديم خدمات ومنتجات تشكل نقلة نوعية.
Okay, everything is fine.
Yeah, thank you.
بأعلى مستويات الموجودية والعمل. كما عمل الاتحاد السعودي خلال الأعوام على إنجاز العديد من المبادرات والبرامج لتحقيق مستهدفات برنامج تطوير القطاع المالي وواحد برامج الرؤية 2030 وبفضل الله تعالى تحقق أحد أهم هذه المكتسبات والمستهدفات في العام الماضي وذلك بوصول حصة المدفوعات الإلكترونية في قطاع الأفراد ما نسبته 70% من إجمالي عمليات الدفع في المملكة وهو المستهدف الذي كان مقررا للوصول إليه في عام 2025 وسيساهم هذا البإذن الله في الوصول إلى مجتمع أقل اعتمادا على النقد. الحضور الكرام الإخوة والأخوات لقد شهد قطاع المدفوعات في المملكة نقاط تحول مسجلا فيها أداء غير مسبوق في مختلف منتجات المدفوعات الرقمية وشهدت أنظمة المدفوعات وتحديدا أنظمة الدفع الوطنية بنهاية الربع الثالث من هذا العام ارتفاعا في عدد العمليات تجاوز 16% مقارنة بنفس الفترة من العام الماضي كما حققت قيمة العمليات نفس الارتفاع ولنفس الفترة. وتبعا لذلك أستميتكم عذرا بأن ألقي الضوء على أبرز نسب النمو والارتفاع في قطاع المدفوعات والتي تعكس
ലിങ്ക്ഡിൻ ഇൻസ്റ്റാഗ്രാം
لعمليات الدفع الرقمية في جميع أنحاء المملكة حيث ارتفع عدد العمليات المنفذة عن طريق أجهزة نقاط البيع بنهاية الربع الثالث من هذا العام بنسبة 16% مقارنة بنفس الفترة من العام الماضي وأدى هذا الارتفاع إلى ارتفاع في قيمة العمليات بنسبة 9% مقارنة بالعام الماضي كما ارتفع عدد أجهزة نقاط البيع بنسبة تجاوزت 12% للفترة نفسها. وقد مثلت قصة المدفوعات باستخدام أجهزة الهواتف الذكية حتى الربع الثالث من هذا العام ما يقارب 54% من إجمالي المدفوعات، لتشهد بذلك نسبة نمو تجاوزت 34% مقارنة بنفس الفترة من العام الماضي. وفي هذا السياق أيضا حققت مدفوعات مدى للتجارة الإلكترونية بنهاية الربع الثالث من هذا العام ارتفاعا تجاوز 29% وبقيمة تخطط نسبتها 22% مقارنة بنفس الفترة من العام الماضي. كما بلغ نمو عدد الفواتير التي سددت عن طريق نظام سداد نسبة 13% بنهاية الربع الثالث بقيمة ارتفعت بنسبة تجاوزت 14% مقارنة بنفس الفترة من العام الماضي. بالإضافة إلى ذلك شهد عدد الحوالات المنفذة عن طريق نظام سريع للمدفوعات الدولية في عدد العمليات مقارنة بنفس الفترة من السنة الماضية. الحضور الأعزاء، يسعى البنك المركزي السعودي في هذا القطاع الحيوي والهام إلى تبني وسائل دفع إلكترونية بأعلى المواصفات التشغيلية والفنية والتقنية للمساهمة في تقليل المخاطر وزيادة الموثوقية، ليحقق بذلك خيارات دفع متعددة لجميع المتعاملين في قطاع المدفوعات في المملكة. كما يؤكد البنك المركزي أهمية تبني نماذج أعمال مبتكرة مدعومة بأحدث الممارسات التقنية في جميع أنظمة المدفوعات الوطنية ومنتجاتها وخدماتها، بما لا يتعارض مع التنظيمات والتشريعات المحلية، وبشكل يساهم بزيادة الاستدامة وتحقيق الاستقرار المالي. ختاماً، فإننا في البنك المركزي السعودي نتمنى كل التوفيق والسداد لكم في جلسات واجتماعات مؤتمر ومعرض سيملس السعودية، وأن تكون نافذة للتطور التقني في المدفوعات وعاملاً مهماً للمحافظة على المكتسبات في القطاع. كما أوجه شكري وتقديري لجميع من ساهم في إعداد وتنظيم هذا المؤتمر. والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
شكراً لسعادتكم. لقد عشنا في النسخ الماضية تفاعلاً كبيراً سواء في الجلسات أو في ورش العمل أو من خلال التفاعل الملموس مع أجنحة الشركات العارضة والراعية، لكننا وقبل كل ذلك لمسنا أثر هذا الحدث في خلق الكثير من الشراكات الجديدة وفتح أبواب توظيف أحدث التقنيات المالية في مختلف المشاريع، ما يعزز من فرص النمو والتطور في أعمال المدفوعات في السعودية. النسخة السابقة من المؤتمر كانت مميزة، وهذه النسخة ستكون بعون الله أكثر تميزاً. اسمحوا لي باستعراض أبرز أرقام سيملس السعودية في النسخة الحالية. لدينا أكثر من 600 شركة راعية وعارضة، وأكثر من 600 متحدث ومتحدثة، وأكثر من 300 جلسة وورشة عمل طيلة أيام المعرض. نبدأ الجلسة الأولى للمؤتمر والعنوان الأبرز لها هو التحول الرقمي للمدفوعات في المملكة العربية السعودية، التطور والآفاق المستقبلية. دعوني أرحب بالزميلة ميرنا سليمان، ومعها تنطلق أولى جلسات سيملس السعودية 2024.
السلام عليكم. صباح الخير. First of all, I'd like to thank Your Excellency for the amazing statistics and facts that you presented today on stage. And let me introduce our panelists for the day. Abdullah Al-Assaf, General Manager, Checkout.com. Khalid Al-Qusmul, Digital Products Senior Manager, Saudi Central Bank. Abdulaziz Al-Dahmash, Managing Director, Saudi Arabia Network Global. And Khalid Al-Zaini, CEO Assistant of Regulatory Affairs, Foodix, and the Vice Chairman of Foodix Pay. Okay, so the panel this morning is about the payment ecosystem in Saudi Arabia, the opportunities, the challenges, and the future. But before we shed light on the kingdom, let's zoom out a little bit and understand the global trends that we are seeing today in the payments industry. And I'd like to ask maybe Abdul Aziz to tell us a bit more about the trends, maybe a couple trends that you see across the world when it comes to payments.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for that, and I'm glad to be part of this distinguished panelist. So in terms of payments, there are multiple trends that's happening globally. From Network International, we can identify three major trends that's happening in the markets globally and the markets we're playing on, which is Asia, Middle East, and Africa. The first part is related to real-time payments and e-wallets. We've seen real-time payments start from domestic, where a number of countries, they have promoted real-time payments, and now we've seen even real-time payments is being promoted across borders. Also wallets, we've seen a huge growth in US, Africa, Asia, and the latest report we've seen issued from Saudi FinTech showed a huge growth in the market in Saudi, where the number of e-wallet users reached 21 million, which represent 57% growth year over year. The second trend we've seen, while there is initially the payments were focusing on a vanilla version across all sectors, we've seen more focus in certain sectors. The first sector I would talk about is the airline. Airline, from a global market perspective, represent $1 trillion as a market size. 10% of that is about Middle East. 5 major airlines, national airlines, plays in the Middle East, in the region. The profit for that sector represents somewhere between 7 to 9%, so it's a thin margin. However, 2.5% is the cost of payment for this sector. That's pushed that sector to think differently, to find an optimization and more efficiency. And that has introduced a sort of a platform which called a payment orchestrator. The payment orchestrators that we've seen introduced to the market help them. It's a platform, intelligent platform and dynamic, where it helps to route transactions smartly and efficiently, serving this kind of sector. The second is another sector, which is hospitality. We've seen some embedded finance there and more of integrating payments with data to give better customer experience.
Thank you, Abdulaziz. We're going to get deep dive into the sectors in a minute, but let me hear from Abdullah, given that you're a global player in the payments industry as well. Do you agree with these trends, and do you see another set of trends as well across the world?
For sure. أول شيء صباح الخير. يعطيكم العافية. Thank you for organizing this amazing event. I fully agree with what Abdulaziz have mentioned. If we take a step back first and think, we're living in an age right now where 6.5 billion humans are using smartphones every day. The majority of them already have access to fast internet connection. Second thing is, if we think about global trade, retail, and e-com, have seen massive development over the last couple of years and got accelerated even further during COVID. Of course, this is leveraging advanced online technologies and payment technologies such as contactless payments, wallets, and so on. So in addition to what Abdulaziz have just mentioned, we're seeing from trends globally and even regionally over here and in Saudi. One, the continuous decline, obviously, of cash. And I think His Excellency today have shared with us the statistics, which is very impressive. And we in the Kingdom, I think we're leading the way on that. So that's one. And the second thing is we're living in an age of liquid expectations. So if I'm buying something from an online store in the US and I had a great experience paying, I'm expecting the same when I'm buying from a store in Saudi, which introduces an interesting challenge for retailers and businesses everywhere that they want to ensure that they have a consistent, advanced experience.
Thank you. So now we've set the stage for global trends. Let's zoom into Saudi Arabia. And of course, we have to hear from the central bank. So Khalid, I just came back from London attending the Open Banking Expo, and everybody was talking about what Saudi Arabia is doing with payments and instant payments and open banking. We'll talk about that later on. So can you tell us, what is that secret recipe that you have when it comes to bringing such a very vibrant economy and vibrant sector?
صباحكم الله بالخير جميعا. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. Thank you for giving me the opportunity. So if we look into the digital landscape here in the kingdom, it's started in the late 1980s. Saudi Central Bank has led multiple initiatives and development with the collaboration with the stakeholder industry in the market. And I can categorize those initiatives and development into three main pillars. The first one is the focus on developing the back-end payment schemes, which is the role of the central bank to develop and operate those schemes. And as an example, you have mentioned about the instant payment system, the recent system that the central bank has rolled out to the market. Moving to the second pillar, which I believe the adaptation of the international standards, speaking to the security standards of the BCI as an example, or even the adaptation of the ISO 20022 for the instant payment system to ensure the interoperability with the whole market. And the third pillar that I believe is the success is the market innovation and adaptation, which is a crucial role for the market to look into small use cases or a demand for the market and collaborate with the central bank to serve the market need. And I would just highlight the recent, maybe the soft pause that has been launched in 2021. We have FODEX here who has utilized that infrastructure to integrate it with their point of sale cashier register to serve the market. Just to conclude the answer with the highlight that the schemes that we are operating, Mada, Sadad and Sari' in 2024 has processed 2.4 trillion Saudi Riyal. This is an evidence that there is a huge adaptation of the payment landscape in the kingdom.
Thank you. Let's move now to one of the players in the Saudi market, which is FODEX. And Khalid, His Excellency mentioned a 16% growth in transactions done over POS. And you're a player in this field. Can you tell us what is driving this growth in the market? Is it technology? Is it customer sophistication? Is it competitive landscape? What is it exactly?
Assalamu alaikum. Thank you, everyone. Actually, for your question, it's a full ecosystem. It depends on 4 players, customers, and the regulatories, and even the company and the merchant itself. Luckily, that we started in a different way. We started from Saudi to global. That empower us as a Saudi companies to be putting their fingerprints everywhere worldwide. We started like in 2014, that time, in aligning with the vision kickoff 2030 of our kingdom of Saudi Arabia. Luckily, that digitalization was one of the key players that was focusing on the Saudi market to achieve it. Luckily, in our visit to Washington, D.C. with the Saudi delegate and Tokyo, we been proudly feel that we are regulated by SAMA as a Saudi company, FODEX. FODEX Pay comes over with the sandbox in 2019, 2020, during Corona, like even though with the biggest challenges that's happening back and forth, still we are kicking off in order for us to reach to the quality and the efficiency from overall perspective. So putting the fingerprint globally has multiplayer and drivers such as the customers' satisfaction and the belief and the trust. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Khalid. Abdullah, 54% of the payments are happening through digital mobile phones. And when a company like Checkout.com wants to enter the Saudi market, don't you feel that it's overcrowded already? What are the opportunities that you see in the local market that makes it worthwhile for you?
In the contrary, actually. There is a massive opportunity within the Saudi market. First, we need to acknowledge that Saudi represents a significant market share of the MENA e-commerce and retail industry. So that's number one. Second thing is that the Saudi market is getting even more and more sophisticated over time. And this sophistication is requiring new types of players and providers to satisfy those needs. The requirements that a global entertainment company, for example, or a content company or a retailer might have to operate in multiple regions is not the same as the requirements of, for example, a new startup that is fully emerging in the Saudi market. We are privileged that we're focusing on enterprise merchants, not only on the global level, but globally and locally. So we're trying to focus on tailoring for those needs. And in these conversations, we do understand that the requirements and the needs in the local market are changing and creating new opportunities for different companies.
Thank you. When we talk about central banks and we talk about SAWA, regulators used to do two things, basically: monetary policy and fiscal policy. Now you've got product managers, innovation department, fintechs. What drives regulators to actually innovate and bring new? We were talking outside about the infrastructure that you're putting together for the country. And without that infrastructure, nobody can operate, صح? So what drives regulators to start thinking innovation? Is it the customer, or is it competition among other regulators, or it's an economic benefit to the country?
Thank you for the question. So I think from central bank perspective, is to focus on increase the usage of digital payments in the kingdom. So this is the main driver of the central bank to step in on this area. As I mentioned in my previous answer to your question, that the central bank remain operating and developing the banking system, helping the market to innovate the final product and services, which as a result of that 3 decades of effort of the central bank, as of today we have 72 payment that has been created to serve that market as well. So in conclusion, we are collaborating with the market and player in the ecosystem to reach the SAMA target, which is increase the use of digital payments.
Thank you. Abdulaziz, we spoke on behavior and how customers are actually pushing for innovation. And how does the payment sector get affected by the demographics in the country? And especially when it comes to digital payments, and I mean, that actually pushes regulators to bring new methods of payment into the market. So we're talking about roughly a very young generation in the kingdom, a very aggressive, well-spoken, well-educated globally. So how does that shape the kind of products that you bring to the market as, network?
No, I think the beauty of this country is the young, highly tech people, and the infrastructure is quite strong, digitally enabled. And thanks to the regulator, to central bank and other regulators who helped to pave the road for any development and innovation. Part of that innovation that we have seen is the open banking. That open banking, along with the strong infrastructure, helped to introduce new products and actually enable payments and financial institutions to innovate and introduce new products. What we have seen in the market now, the payments became part of embedded as part of the culture. And also banks and financial institutions started to think about even added value services embedded as part of the payments, like data analytics, personal financial planning, and so on, where they compete on that. And the adaptation from the market became very, very high. And the example we gave earlier about how the growth happening in e-wallets, which is quite new, recent to the market, but growth remain remarkable, is a good testimony of the pickup from the market.
Okay, let's move to open banking, which is a subject very close to my heart. So in Saudi Arabia, there are around, I think, 13 companies that are regulated or in the sandbox. I think Fintech Galaxy is number 14, maybe. In the UK, there are 250 licensed TPPs, 250, okay? Here we're talking 13, 14, across the region, maybe 15. In London, in the UK, 250 licensed TPPs. And they're all fighting and competing and providing, at the end of the day, they provide customers with the best service. Now, I was speaking with the head of technology at the London Rails, you know, the London Transport. And I told him, why haven't you partnered with any open banking player? He said, if you give me a better use case than a very stable infrastructure, you know the yellow thing that you tap at the rails if you go to London Underground. If you give me a better and faster, okay, better and faster use case than tap and go within seconds, and you know how many hundreds of people go through that, I'm willing to use open banking. So let's come to open banking. Payments. Is it really solving a problem, or we're forcing it to solve a problem in payments? And where do you see the opportunity in PIS? Let me start with you, Khalid.
Thank you for the question. So the open banking definitely will be a complementary over the core payment scheme in the kingdom. I do understand how the UK it's work. It's a bit different from the landscape here in the kingdom. So the open banking will be a complement on the core payment systems, especially the recent announcement from the central bank, the payment initiation services. We do believe that that open banking, the payment initiation framework and guideline will allow the fintech company to access the core payment scheme product and services, which definitely would help the fintech company to tap untapped market and serve specific need and personalized need. This is how we see the open banking from our perspective.
Anybody wants to say anything about the use cases or maybe new business models that open banking will bring in the payments?
To add to what our colleagues have just mentioned, I think you said the magical word, which is the use case. And as long as there is a use case, there is a specific pain point to solve, then there is always a method for it. Within the kingdom, I think we're privileged that we have regulators that are advanced, forward-thinking, already thinking about future infrastructure solutions to enable those future use cases. So I think from my perspective, it's a matter of how can market participants leverage this infrastructure that is coming rapidly to create those use cases in a way that complements their existing payment setup and infrastructure. Because it's not going to be an element of one solution is going to replace another. It's most probably going to be multiple solutions within a scope of offerings that will be provided.
But Abdullah, it's very easy to explain to your mom and dad, our kids, how to do online payments. I mean, people are used to Apple Pay and all of that. How can we create more awareness about open banking and a bit take a move from the technical jargon, PIS, AIS, TPPs? I mean, people don't care about these, right? They care about value, and value is, you know, value, right? Cheaper, faster, right? Or a new revenue stream. Everybody wants more money or to save or to do something faster, customer happiness and all of that, okay? So how can you identify those use cases? Let's get to a bit more granular here and talk about some use cases. And I want you all to think of use cases other than Sama, of course. I want to think of what can you think of use cases. Maybe you can talk about merchant payments and...
I mean, first, to your point, I don't think that Ummi Hissa needs to understand how network token works in order to execute an Apple Pay transaction. But at the end of the day, what she cares about is that I'm going to pay quickly without carrying my card. So the use case that the pinpoint that she has is I want to pay quickly, I want to pay on the spot. And we'll keep the technical jargon and the technicalities to the experts who are going to enable those use cases. I think from our perspective, the right way to think about it is what is the use case specifically, but rather think of what is possible within the current realm of infrastructure. Because when you open that as a playground, then you have ongoing use cases that you will create. Probably there is a couple of use cases right now, but I think other use cases will be created in the future.
Khalid, do you think you should start with what is possible given the current infrastructure, or you should go with doing the impossible and going through uncharted territories? And
Actually, it's not about quantity, it's about quality, and that's what we can find out in our regulatories in the kingdom. Like I would just want to highlight an example. NCAA, Sadaya, SAMA, all of them, they care about even the cyber security and the data protection as well. So in order for us to have an open banking and to go with option A, that's mean we are just highlighting on the quantity. But the good thing in our regulatories here, which we figure as the Saudi companies, mostly a part of the 13 companies, part of the Unicorn program, most of them are part of the fintech industry, and they care about the payment solution. The payment solution are getting increased. Many doors can be knocked up, such as the EMI, like people can just do the EMI instead of the open banking, or the open banking instead of the EMI. The wallet even is one of the, like we can see a big example, Mada. Nowadays they are doing a fantastic and a wonderful like movement which is targeting always the efficiency. So I always believe that option A will be the best solution in order to focus on the efficiency without taking high risks and have bad consequences as well.
I'll come back to the risks and challenges because that's a whole different, elephant in the room. But Abdulaziz, let's talk a bit about the merchants and merchant payments and what can we do to support the merchants, given that you deal with merchants all the time?
Yeah, I think
SMEs. I'm talking here SMEs, corporates, rather than the retail customer.
So if we think about the basics of open banking, it's about consumers' empowerment. So they have the empowerment of using the data with different financial institutions. The data is very important, but it needs the data by itself without doing some analysis might not be very helpful. So having those data and doing some analysis for that might help them from risk perspective and creating new opportunities, either saving or creating or either saving or investment. That's from consumer side. From the merchant side, the open banking can create new use cases. One of the challenges with large enterprises is the reconciliation of different accounts that create some challenges, and it's mainly manual. Open banking, this is one of use cases for open banking for merchants. Secondly, faster payouts. So cash flow is very important, especially for the SMEs. Having open banking will help them to initiate payment from different accounts to fulfill their financial obligations on a timely manner, while they understand how that payment happened and when happened, and they reconcile that again with the backend. The third is having different data from open banking, especially SMEs, can help them to have access to working capital with banks. So creating those kind of use cases with different financial institutions can help them in that area.
Thank you. طيب, let me see raise of hands. Who believes in the value that open banking brings to you as people, not companies, to you as people? To you as people. Okay, somebody's making like this. Is that like you're a bit shy or you're not convinced? Okay, what about SMEs, like SMEs and corporates? Imagine you can see in one screen. I wish we have a lot of CFOs here. They will be scared because that might, cost a lot of jobs. Imagine you have one screen where you see all your bank accounts, all your savings, all your loans, your debts in one screen. You don't have to swap between bank accounts. Do you see the value for SMEs? And yeah, I'm talking here data and payments, of course. Okay, now the more important question, do you believe there are challenges and risks when it comes to a new payment method coming to the picture, to the market? Do you believe there are challenges and risks? Challenges, risks, or it's a merry-go-round? Okay, let's talk about the challenges, because if we don't deal with the challenges, we will not make it work. Challenges. What do you think?
Let me start with the challenge.
Khalid, we're going to talk about the challenges and you're going to give us the solutions since you're the regulator.
So let me start with the challenges. I think when we talk about technology, payment, faster payment, fraud comes as a top of the challenges. And if you look at recent report from NICE report, they estimated the fraud losses reach $30 billion globally. That's a scary part, and that's something I think the central bank and the regulator in the market, they manage this risk properly of having right framework and asking for certain requirements from a fraud perspective. I think the fraud along with cybersecurity is the main challenges when it comes to the payment.
Fraud and cybersecurity. Khalid?
Actually, the sustainability of such businesses, isn't it like stable? Like you have mentioned in your previous discussion, like another countries comparing to us and how we are monitoring and operating the business. To be honest, like the good thing here in Saudi Arabia that we secure the sustainability and we have a very excellent efficiency on our ongoing, because the anti-money laundering and the counterterrorism finance and the fraud, it's a major risk in any business. Without going on the financial institute and the payment institute, even with the newly like kicking markets such as the EMI and online and the payment, all of them are facing definitely an AML challenges and fraud as well cybersecurity. Because without protecting the data, we will never secure our continuity and the sustainability. So it's a high risk, it's likelihood, it's threat. Thank you.
Thanks. Any more challenges you can think of?
So on checkout.com, we do yearly research to understand the global trends and the development of the e-commerce industry within the region and with a view on Saudi. And I'm going to mention three, I would say, challenges and priorities. Mm-hmm. From a consumer perspective, echoing with my colleagues have just mentioned, concerns of fraud is a priority. More than 30% of the survey respondents have mentioned that concerns of fraud is a top priority for them. From a merchant perspective, payment performance and having higher acceptance rate for them is a massive priority. A couple of percentage improvement in payment performance could make all the difference in making or breaking your P&L. And I think the third thing from an ecosystem perspective is availability of solution that will facilitate cross-payment transactions. We're living in an age where it is easier than ever to sell abroad and to buy from international markets. And I think that's heavily influenced by the regulatory infrastructure. How can they facilitate, how can they introduce standards and solutions that could facilitate cross-border transactions and payments?
We missed two major challenges. Everything that you said is valid, but I think two major challenges. And if you think about change management, okay, you take it at a country level, not at a corporate level. You've got people, talent, and you've got culture. Very important, okay? Let's face it, sometimes we bring food to the table that is half-cooked. And I'm talking here about we as the market participants, not the regulators, okay? We tend to blame regulators that, oh, it's taking long. Oh, we're waiting for the go-ahead. Oh, the standards are taking forever. Are we ready? Do we understand open banking? Do we know what it takes? Do we know the risks? Do we know all of that? So what can you say about talent development in the region where in so many ways we actually import a lot of expertise from outside? Khaled.
Actually, like always, it's people system policy. So it starts with the people. So as you said, I'm seconding what you have mentioned. Having the right people and the right talent is very important. It will secure the sustainability as well. So even like sometimes many companies, the SMEs, they consider the regulatory as challenge. And to be honest, you can take it from a different way, that the regulatory is empowering you. In one of our sessions with the Unicorn program in Harvard Business School, I was representing that many companies there, like Brazil, India, many countries, more than 20 countries, they are facing a lot of challenges from the regulatories. But honestly, that the clarity and the transparency and the credibility are an important values to be considered, which we are highlighting here in our countries. That's why we can have a very clear moving on with the efficiency and the operational excellence, which mentioned and supporting what you have said, and that support even the culture. So having the right people and continuous awareness session to increase the awareness, the knowledge, the goals, the vision, this will secure the culture as well. So culture is very important to secure and to maintain the sustainability, which is one of the components that we have mentioned from the other type of risk and regulatories such as AML and fraud and cybersecurity as well. Thank you.
Thanks, Khaled. Khaled, do you want to add anything to what we said? Maybe about the landscape itself from a cultural and an educational perspective.
Looking to the risk of fraud, the risk of cybersecurity from market perspective is different from regulator and the operator of the payment schemes. Definitely the impact if one of the schemes has a cyber attack is different. So this is why when it comes to the regulation from cybersecurity perspective, even His Excellency was mentioning about the security of our payment ecosystem is the core of our work, because this is where the economy will rely on the payments. So this is why the standard should be high. This is why the standard and the market who is entering in the payment industry should be at the level to ensure the sustainability of the payment and services.
Thank you. And these are risks that are very valid. And trust me, one mistake in the market might ruin a lot of companies and might shake the whole sector. So when regulators put a lot of screws on, licensing or going to market, always believe that they're doing it for the better and for the sake of the economy, not for their own self. And I know this from personal experience because as we received the initial approval from SAMA for open banking, and the list of requirements is impressive. I have to say that only. Let's move to another segment here, which is basically cross-border, okay? We cannot talk about payments without talking about the globalization. Actually, the name of the panel is globalization and cross-border and, kind of creating that interoperability between Saudi Arabia and other markets around the region. And maybe, Abdullah, you can start here. Are we getting there in terms of real cross-border collaboration across markets?
So if you put yourself in the shoes of a merchant, at the end of the day, what you're solving for is enabling your customers to have as much payment solutions available as possible in order to win that transaction and make it happen. So every merchant have that as a priority. And we're living in an age where it doesn't, you don't have to be based in the kingdom to only sell to merchants in the kingdom and so on. So consumers are global in nature, merchants are global in nature. And the same from a consumer point of view. Consumers are looking to buy from merchants who have the payment methods that they are using every day. And I think there is a couple of developments that have already happened. First thing is developments related to global payments infrastructure led by the schemes and global payment providers and so on. The link between those two rely on two players. The payment service providers, who are bringing those alternative payment solutions and methods to our merchants. And the second thing is the regulatory element which facilitates all of these things. And I think there is already a lot of development that happened from facilitation point of view, and there is more to come, whether it's solutions around merchant of record, whether it's solutions around standardizing global interactions between payment schemes and payment infrastructure. And I mean, I can't speak a lot about what we're working on with the central bank on very interesting and cool projects to ensure that there is this interoperability and standardization to facilitate all of these things. I think we're on the right track without a doubt.
If I may just add to that, I think coming from a company who's working across 50 countries, cross-border collaboration is a key for any expansion, regionally or globally. And what we find, there are two major things that helps to streamline that expansion. The first is standardization of integration, or the interoperability in the payment space. That helps big time to expand to other countries, serving different clients. And what we found that some of our enterprise clients, when they're planning to expand to certain jurisdictions, we go ahead with them, and the easiest of the integration help us to expand faster. The second is the partnership. And the partnership helps regionally and globally, and even in the local markets, where we have strike a number of partnerships with different players in the private sector and in the public sector.
Great.
That helps for collaboration.
Thank you. Let's come to the end of this session with one very important question. When we set strategies and when we build ecosystems and platforms, we build them for the next generation. We don't build them for ourselves, right? We build them for our kids. And when we talk Vision 2030, it's for our kids, not for us, but we're building for the next generation. Our kids don't like going to the banks. Do you agree? Anybody's kid, 12, 13, 18 years old, you see them walking to the bank, sitting with no, okay? They like online, digital, that's what they do. They like apps, they like gaming apps, they like to buy online. They don't like even to go to the stores. I mean, my kids shop online, okay? So let's face it, the generation that's coming now is an online e-commerce, gaming, future, CBDCs, I don't know, but it's something that is so much far from the brick and mortar kind of traditional incumbent systems that we've used to. What is your vision and plan to cope with the future of payments, keeping this generation in mind? Khaled?
Actually, kids nowadays, I guess they will use AI, and they will not move from their place. AI, artificial intelligence, like, will do everything you need and solving even the knowledge as well. In order for the strategies, it is very important, like, to set up a strategy, definitely, and to standardize it, to be unified with the full ecosystem. So answering your question, yes, strategy needs to be there as per the start we have highlighted, in having the values aligning with each sector, such as the fintech, such as even the payment and the online and etc. So having the strategy will secure the alignment between the future vision, aligning with the 2030 vision as well, which will set a very clear key players in the market.
Thank you. Abdulaziz?
When it comes to our strategy, it's very simple. It's about digital, adapting latest technology similar to AI, machine learning, and thirdly, most importantly, offering a secure method of payments.
Thank you. Khaled?
So maybe I was mentioning that strategy on all my questions. So basically the central bank strategy is to focus on adaptation of or developing the core payment system, allowing the innovation through the partnership with the market, and definitely all of it aligned with the Vision 2030 when it comes to welcome the tourism and having or to allow them to have a good experience during the payments, and that's it.
Thank you, Khalid. Abdullah?
We as Checkout globally aim to empower all merchants to thrive within the digital economy. So that's a priority for us. When we zoom in into Saudi, which is a globally important market, personally, I don't have any worry about the development of a market itself. We have a young generation, one of the markets with the highest smartphone penetration, access to internet, advancement in regulatory infrastructure and frameworks, unified country within a unified vision with clear structure, with clear plans for multiple years, and everything is predictable. And I think having that laid out makes it easier for market participants to build the right strategies moving forward by leveraging all these technologies. So we're being honestly privileged that all of these elements are there. It's just a matter of execution.
Thank you. So building a payments ecosystem for the future needs regulators, needs infrastructure, needs aggressive players that believe in the market and the value. And it needs, of course, all of us as consumers to actually drive innovation towards what's beneficial for us. Thank you all for attending. Thank you for the amazing comments that you've made, Abdullah, Khalid, Abdulaziz, and Khalid. And thank you all for participating in this morning panel. Thank you.
يعطيكم العافية. شكرا.
الله يعافيك.
شكرا ميرنا. أعزائنا الحضور، نشكركم اليوم على التواجد بيننا. ستكون الجلسة التالية في تمام الساعة 2 ظهرا، ونتمنى لكم الكثير من التجارب الفريدة خلال أيام مؤتمر ومعرض سيمليس السعودية 2024. شكرا لكم.